The Topiary Cat, Chapter 2. Tolly has a fright. Richard and Tolly were getting a bit bored with that game of cowboys and Indians, and had decided to go on an adventure. This elegant, intelligent feline with the knowing green eyes followed the child around, more like a dog than a cat, and was quite willing to explore with him. They lived in a village in the country, surrounded by beautiful countryside, largely unspoiled. There were fields with a profusion of wildflowers, where bees would hum and butterflies flutter by. Even a skylark might make a tuneful appearance, while the village pond would seethe with frogs and tadpoles in the spring. The companions made their way to Deftham Estate, which was only a short walk away. Richard loved to visit the gardens and admire Baba's topiary, and, fortunately, being related to the head gardener, nobody at the big house minded them exploring there, as long as no parties or posh visitors were expected that day. They decided to go down to the big ornamental lake, because this always seemed a magical place. The gazebo, a small Palladian building by the water, had a hidden attic room with a tiny round window where the boy could gaze out and dream. Tolly stayed outside, seemingly wary of climbing the narrow stairs. Richard watched as he prowled about, pretending to stalk some imaginary prey. Stopping for a moment beneath one of the many stone and marble statues, the one of Leda and the Swan, Tolly seemed to be looking directly into the eyes of this mythical princess. Then something extraordinary happened, or at least Richard was convinced it had. The head of the statue turned towards the cat, and, yes, the lips appeared to be moving. No, it cannot be. He blinked and looked back at the scene. Tolly was scampering back to the boy in haste, as if something important was happening. The statue now looked entirely immobile. Richard rushed down the narrow stairs, nearly tripping over himself in his hurry. He scooped Tolly up in his arms and found that the cat was trembling. "I wish you could talk, Tolly," he said. "Whatever's the matter?" Tolly nuzzled up close to the boy's neck and remained there while they made their way home. When they arrived at the front gate, they saw Grandpa had begun to clip the hedge. "You won't destroy my hidey-holes, will you, Baba?" cried the boy in alarm. "Of course not, Richard. I know how much you love this hedge. I'm just trimming it. It's become a bit untidy, that's all." Tolly stayed with Richard all evening, never leaving his side. When it was time for bed, the cat followed him up the rickety stairs. This was most odd behaviour. Usually Tolly was out all night getting up to adventures on his own. Everything about their home was wonky, because it was centuries old and had been built using ship's timbers for the frame. Up a slope to bed, and down a hill to the loo. Don't miss the next chapter of The Topiary Cat, read by Richard Saunders.